Marvel fans are still reeling from the news that Robert Downey Jr. has been cast as Dr. Doom in the MCU. We're all still trying to wrap our heads around the question of how the man who made Iron Man a household name can now be playing arguably Marvel's biggest supervillain. Not everyone is thrilled with the news. We've been running a poll on IGN asking Marvel fans whether casting Downey as Doom was the right move for the MCU, and roughly 56% of them say no. Clearly, Marvel has some explaining to do. On YouTube, that number climbs to 62%, and on X, or Twitter, it's at 54%. But whatever the eventual explanation, one thing is abundantly clear. Avengers Secret Wars now has the villain it needed all along. To explain why, let's take a step back to explore Doom's importance to the Secret Wars saga, and why Marvel really needed him front and center if they were going to pull off an adaptation of the venerated source material.
Victor, please.
Call me Doom.
Dr. Doom is a pretty essential figure in both versions of Secret Wars. The original 1984 Marvel superhero Secret Wars and 2015 Secret Wars. In both tales, Doom is the one who usurps the Beyonder, or Beyonders, and molds himself into a god. Doom is the final boss of the story. But despite his central role, for a long time there was no indication that Marvel actually planned on making Doom the central antagonist of Avengers Secret Wars. Up until now, the multiverse saga hinged on Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror. We've learned that Kang and his many variants are a clear and present danger to the entire multiverse. So much so that one variant called He Who Remains orchestrated the creation of the Time Variance Authority and whittled the multiverse down to a single sacred timeline so as to prevent another multiversal war between Kangs. But after the events of Loki Season 1, the multiverse is back, and so is the threat of Kang.
He planned everything. He's seen everything. He knows everything. It's complicated, okay?
Marvel was clearly positioning Kang, not Doom, as the architect of the Secret Wars conflict. Even the pervasive rumor that Doom would be revealed in a post-credits scene in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever failed to pan out.
The time was not yet right.
The fifth Avengers movie was originally announced as Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, suggesting that Kang's feud with the Earth's mightiest heroes is what was meant to set the stage for Secret Wars. Every indication was that Kang was Marvel's new Thanos for the multiverse saga. All of that changed with Major's legal troubles and subsequent firing, and the tepid response to Kang's first big screen appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
And you think you can beat me? I am Kang!
If Kang was supposed to be the next Thanos-level threat to the MCU, Quantumania didn't exactly sell the idea. At some point, Marvel decided to pivot away from Kang and toward Doom, so that Avengers: The Kang Dynasty is now being reworked to become Avengers: Doomsday. Now Doom, not Kang, is the linchpin of the journey to Secret Wars, and that's exactly as it should be. We're not here to argue that the MCU can't or shouldn't make significant changes to the comic book source material. It's certainly happened in the past with key changes like Tony Stark becoming the father of Ultron, or the Mandarin being fundamentally reworked in Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Sometimes characters who play a key role in a comic book storyline are cut out of the picture for the cinematic adaptation. Characters like Silver Surfer and Mephisto are a big part of the Infinity Gauntlet comic, yet they're nowhere to be found in Avengers: Infinity War. We don't feel the movie suffered because of their absence. It wouldn't have made much sense for Marvel to shoehorn them into the picture, and that's not even counting the fact that they didn't have the movie rights to Silver Surfer at that point. But when it comes to Secret Wars, it's a lot tougher to separate the conflict from Doom himself. The climax of both versions of Secret Wars is about the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four taking on a Doom who has molded himself into an all-powerful god. Doom is such a fascinating villain in these stories because of his boundless ego. He sees himself as the rightful master of all, so he simply takes the power for himself. You can try to make Kang the God Emperor of Battleworld, but it just doesn't have the same impact as seeing Victor Von Doom transforming himself from ordinary man to master of excellence. That's Doom's shtick.
Painful? You don't know the meaning of the word.
There's also the fact that Secret Wars 2015 hinges so fundamentally on Doom's flawed personality. For all his incredible power, Doom is a profoundly damaged man. His hatred of Reed Richards is balanced out by the fact that Doom covets Reed's family. One of the first things he does after creating Battleworld is brainwash Susan Storm and her children into becoming his own loving family. It's especially revealing that Doom, for all his amazing power, proves utterly incapable of healing his ruined face. It's not so much a lack of ability as it is a reflection of his own inner self-loathing and doubt. Doom can crown himself God Emperor, but that doesn't mean he can fill the gaping void in his soul. In the end, he fails because he wants himself to fail. That's something that was missing in the MCU's take on the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. In terms of motivations, the MCU's Thanos is quite a bit different from the source material. The MCU Thanos is obsessed with creating balance and preventing life from growing out of control. The comic book Thanos is in love with the physical personification of death, with every act of killing a tribute to his beloved. He's also deeply self-loathing and self-sabotaging, a fact that proves to be his undoing in Infinity Gauntlet. In Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, we never get a sense of Thanos as a tyrant who hates himself deep down and wants to fail. He feels the weight of his sacrifices, but he sees it all as necessary steps in doing what needs to be done.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
With Doom, Marvel now has a chance to truly dig into the psychology of a villain whose power is matched only by his self-hatred. Again, Kang isn't the right character for that. Doom is. Only by making Doom the linchpin of Avengers Secret Wars can Marvel really do justice to the source material. We can continue to wonder and debate how exactly Downey can be playing Dr. Doom, but what matters is that we are getting Doom at long last. That can only be a good thing for the build-up to Avengers Secret Wars in 2027.
Do you really think fate turned us into gods so we could refuse these gifts?
Now let's get into full spoilers for the Secret Wars comics. As we mentioned, there are actually 2 major Secret Wars comics in the Marvel catalogue, not counting all the other sequels and spin-offs and toy tie-ins. The first is 1984's Marvel Superhero Secret Wars by Jim Shooter, Mike Zeck, and Bob Layton, and the second is 2015's Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman and Esad Ribic. It's probably safe to assume that the Avengers Secret Wars movie will draw inspiration from both series, even if the multiverse saga has definitely been leaning toward the latter so far. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars is a crossover where a who's who lineup of heroes and villains, including Spider-Man and members of the X-Men, Avengers, and Fantastic Four, are whisked away to an artificial planet called Battleworld. There, these characters are made to battle one another for the amusement of an omnipotent being called the Beyonder. The series culminates in Doctor Doom stealing the Beyonder's power and becoming omnipotent. Doom slaughters our heroes when they refuse to join him, though they're quickly resurrected by a healer named Zhaji, and he's eventually defeated through the combined efforts of everyone on Battleworld. The series wound up introducing several far-reaching changes to the Marvel Universe, not the least of which being that this is where Spider-Man first bonds with the Venom symbiote.
What is this?
Secret Wars and its accompanying toy line proved wildly popular, quickly spawning the much less well-received Secret Wars 2 the following year. 2015's Secret Wars is widely regarded as a much superior follow-up. Secret Wars 2015 serves as the climax of Hickman's long run on Marvel's Avengers and New Avengers. Those 2 books chronicle the steadily worsening state of the Marvel multiverse, as more and more universes are annihilated through the phenomenon of incursions.
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
It's eventually revealed that these incursions are being caused by a conflict between the Beyonders, an entire race of beings with the godlike powers of the original Beyonder, and a fanatical cult leader called Rabum Alal. Rabum Alal is eventually revealed to be Doom, waging a high-stakes war to save the multiverse from the Beyonders' grand cosmic experiment. As Secret Wars itself opens, the multiverse is down to just 2 remaining universes: the classic Earth 616 and the Ultimate Universe Earth 1610. The heroes of both worlds battle one another when the final incursion hits, but to no avail. The multiverse completes its inevitable collapse, with only Mr. Fantastic and a handful of superhero refugees surviving aboard a universal life raft. But existence doesn't entirely end. At the last moment, Doom and his ally Molecule Man manage to steal the power of the Beyonders. We're noticing a pattern here. Doom uses his newfound godhood to create a new battle world, this one stitched together from the shattered fragments of dozens of dead universes. On Battleworld, these various universal fragments exist as baronies, policed by the Thor Corps and Sheriff Stephen Strange, and they all exist under the benevolent rule of God Emperor Doom. Secret Wars chronicles the rise and fall of Doom's reign as the survivors of Earth 616 and Earth 1610 fight to overthrow him and restore the multiverse. In the end, it all comes down to a confrontation between Doom and Mr. Fantastic. Good wins over evil, and the Fantastic Four are able to rebuild the multiverse, with a lot of help from Reed and Sue Richards' son, young Franklin Richards, who has the mutant power to generate entire universes. Secret Wars even ends on a happy note for Doom himself. Despite transforming himself into a god through sheer force of will, Doom was never able to repair his scarred face. But when he wakes up in the rejuvenated Earth 616, Doom finds his face has been restored. Even the greatest tyrant in the multiverse has been given a second chance. Just how closely Avengers Secret War will follow these comics remains to be seen. All we know is that we're glad Doom is able to play such a big part in the movie. But what about you? Do you think Marvel made the right call in pivoting from Kang to Doom?
Yes! Yes! What's the worst that can happen?
Which Secret Wars comic should the movie adapt? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you like and subscribe to IGN wherever you watch.
Susan, you're fired.